What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. If we're just meeting, my name is Garrett. I'm a 7-figure Amazon seller, showing you guys how you can make a living off Amazon as well. Now, I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people make their first $1,000 off Amazon. I've sold several $1 million worth of products on Amazon myself, and in today's video, we're going to create a very surface level, very basic understanding of what it means to sell on Amazon. What are the fees associated with it? What are the different terminology? What's the different ungating processes? How to find your first product? Really just essentially how to navigate your first couple weeks and months as an Amazon seller. How to begin your Amazon journey. The Amazon journey is a very exciting one. It's changed my life. I hope you give it the chance to change your life. And in this video, we are going to take that first step together. Enjoy. Making your first $1,000 on Amazon may seem very much daunting in the beginning, right? There's a lot of new terminology that you've never seen, a lot of new processes and procedures and concepts, and a lot of new data that you've never seen before, been exposed to before. Even if you're coming from eBay, there's a ton of nuances between eBay and Amazon, a lot of new things to kind of wrap your mind around. And so this video will act as a beginner's roadmap of sorts to help you navigate those first couple weeks or months as a newer Amazon seller, to kind of get you up to speed, to establish a baseline understanding of how the platform operates, how it works, what you need to know, so you can take that and start to learn the different niches and nuances that you need in order to really succeed as an Amazon seller. Now, before we get too much into the nitty-gritty, we need to start with the fees. Right now, we have a lot of luxuries as Amazon sellers, right? Having the benefit of access to all of Amazon Prime customers and Amazon's brand and the 2-day shipping and all these sorts of things, right? And it's obviously understandable that we have fees associated with those luxuries. And now, in Amazon's platform, there are 2 different fees associated with selling on Amazon. The first one is going to be a universal fee, which is known as a category fee or a referral fee. Now, this is a fee that Amazon associates to specific products based on its category, right? And so, for example, all clothing and apparel may have a 10% category fee. Beauty products may have a 12%. Grocery products may have a 15%, right? There's a chart on Amazon's website, and a lot of the calculators that we'll talk about account for those fees for us. We don't necessarily have to memorize those fees or really have that sort of insight in terms of which category has which sorts of fees. That's all done for us with our profit calculators and things we'll use. But it's worth knowing that the category fee is across either FBA offers, whether you're selling FBA or merchant fulfilled, right? That category fee is going to be across the board. Every single product you sell, a percentage of that revenue or sale price. Now, the second fee is what's called an FBA fee. We are essentially paying Amazon to fulfill our orders, to receive it, store it, and send it to our customer when we make those sales. Now, FBA fees are only associated with products which we are selling using Amazon's FBA program, right? And so there's 2 different ways to sell on Amazon. There's an FBA seller, or selling as FBA, right? Leveraging Amazon's FBA warehouses, where, again, we buy an item, we send it to Amazon, we list it on Amazon's platform, and Amazon receives it, stores it in their warehouses, and then ships it straight to the customer, ultimately when we earn and win those sales. The benefit of FBA is that we can offer the customers 2-day shipping because of that program. Now, the other way is merchant fulfilled, FBM, fulfilled by merchant. And now, in this selling method, in this scenario, we are shipping directly to customers when we make those sales, right? We list the product same as FBA. When we make those sales, we ultimately ship directly to the customer. Now, there's pros and cons of both. To get going, right, the pros and the big pros of using FBA as a selling method is mainly, obviously, that 2-day shipping. We have the benefit and luxury of offering our products as prime products, as 2-day shipping viable. Amazon consumers have proven time and time again that they are looking for that sort of prime badge when they are making buying decisions. And so because of that, that prime badge is a big thing. Now, the big con of FBA is that it's just a slower time frame in terms of the time cycle of our money. Now, if we compare the two, right, we buy the same product and compare the two fulfillment methods side by side. We buy the same item. If we're using FBA, right, we have to list the item, package it, prep it, send it to Amazon's warehouse where they receive it, and now they're going to do what's called put it into FC transfer, right? They're going to take that product, and because Amazon's fulfillment center logistical capacity processes are all very, very much sophisticated, they're going to receive that item, and because of the specifics of that item, they're going to take it and send it to an FBA center all over the country. Basically, based on the existing quantities that they have in different regions of the country, right? It's all optimized based on ultimately getting that customer that product as soon as possible, right? So if I'm sending in a baseball glove and they have awareness that this specific baseball glove, they have tens and tens of units in the entire East Coast, but they may only have 1 or 2 units on the West Coast. Well, they're going to take that product, that baseball glove, and put it on the West Coast and have it sit there until someone on the West Coast buys my specific baseball glove. And so because of that, there's going to be a lag time between when Amazon FBA receives my product and ultimately when it's available for shipping. That's what we call FC transfer. Now, if we compare that to the FBA approach, the merchant fulfill approach, list that same item, but now it's active, right? We don't have to send it to Amazon. We don't have to wait for FC transfer. As soon as we list that item, it's active, it's ready to be sold, and ultimately when a customer goes and buys that item from me, I ship it directly to the customer. And so merchant fulfill naturally allows us to turn our money quicker, right? It allows us to gain, 2 3 weeks back in terms of the time cycle of my money. But of course, we are giving up potentially priority buy box share, potentially losing customers because of that. Now, I mentioned the buy box. That's the next point. That's the next big thing that we need to talk about. Now, the buy box is, and if you've ever bought something from Amazon's platform, you've probably bought it through that big orange button that's on the right side of your screen for any specific product. Now, the key note here is that that buy box button, that buy it now button, is not associated with any particular seller. It acts as a rotation. And so what happens is there's, all the sellers that are competing and active on a specific listing. And Amazon has a buy box algorithm that essentially rotates the sellers. It's based on a ton of different variables that we won't necessarily get into in this video, but essentially lowest FBA price it takes priority in winning that buy box, as opposed to just account health. All these sorts of things factor into that winning of the buy box. Because FBA offers typically have buy box priority, right? That's going to be a benefit and a big plus in terms of whether evaluating when we want to sell either FBA or merchant fulfilled. And so again, that buy box is going to really be our focal point in terms of specifically what the price point is, and ultimately how we're going to sell that specific product, right? Because if the buy box, and this sometimes is the case where the buy box isn't necessarily the same price as call it the lowest merchant fulfilled offer. There may be a premium there. And so we're going to be essentially focused on what the buy box price has been. Because again, if we're operating and coming to the market with an FBA offer, we are going to expect to be able to compete for the buy box, not necessarily compete against the lowest FBA offer. And so that's, again, the buy box, what it is, how it operates, how it rotates across sellers. We need to be considered and focused on maximizing our buy box rotation, which again is getting a little bit more nuanced and getting a little more technical stuff we talk about in a lot of other videos. But definitely do your research on really how that buy box operates and really assigns different sellers. So now to this point, we've talked about the different fulfillment methods. We've talked about the fees. We've talked about the buy box. Now you're going to start looking for products. Obviously, that's the whole point of what we're doing. And so before we get to actually sourcing products, it won't take very long to realize that certain products you don't have the approval to sell. And this is what we call ungating in the Amazon space. Right, Amazon gates specific categories and different brands for new sellers just to kind of audit that the sellers that are coming to the market with those products are legit, right? They want to authenticate and kind of gatekeep who can sell certain items. not a big deal, right? We can get ungated. It's not very hard. And this is something that's changed pretty drastically over the past 3, 4, 5 years. Now, in order to get ungated for a specific brand or category, essentially what we have to do is buy 10 units of that product under the given brand or category that we're looking for, and submit those products and submit that invoice or receipt to Amazon. Now, I know you're going to say the website says you need to buy from a distributor or supplier or the brand directly, get approval. That's not the case. If we're looking to get ungated in Nike, right, all we have to do is go to Nike.com, go to Dick's, go to Kohl's, go to Foot Locker, any website that has Nike, buy 10 Nike products, regardless of how much it is, regardless of what it is, 10 of the same product, submit that invoice, submit that receipt to Amazon, and we will get approved. It may not be the first time, may not be the second time, but eventually we will get approval to sell that specific Nike. And that's the case across any brand. Typically, you can go to the website, go to Walmart, go to wherever you can find that item, get 10 of them, typically the cheapest, whatever you can find cheap, and submit the receipt, and you will get ungated for that specific brand. Now, category is a bit different. To get ungated in a category of product, which is grocery, which is topical, which is, any of those, categories of products, you have to submit that same invoice, the same receipt, but you also have to take pictures of the actual product. So a bit different again, but ungating is not an issue. Find that product, 10 units, wherever you can find it, submit that receipt, and eventually you will get ungated. So now we've talked about ungating, right? Now we can essentially sell whatever we want. Now we have to begin to find products. And this is where I'm going to hop into my screen and kind of walk you through how to find your first product. Now, sourcing in itself is a beast of a topic. I can talk hours and hours and hours about sourcing. Right? I have all sorts of videos about sourcing nuances and techniques and best practices for sourcing. But staying at a very surface level, very foundational, basic level, finding our first product, I would do a couple things. First and foremost, I would just start to sift through some of the sales sections of big sites, right? And so obviously we're here on Nike. I would go to the Nike all sales section. You can do obviously sales shoes or shop all. We're going to start in the sales shoes. And all we're just going to start doing, right, it doesn't take a lot of brain power or skill. All we're just going to start doing is start to compare prices of what we can find something on this specific site in comparison to what it's listed on Amazon. Right, and obviously all these products are marked off, and all we can do, and all we're going to need is 2 basic softwares in order to accomplish this. We're going to need Keepa and SellerAmp. With SellerAmp, it'll actually help us identify that difference in price. And really what we're looking for is essentially a 1-to-2 relationship, a ratio of what we can buy something for in comparison to what we can sell it for. And so if we can buy these for $59, $60, we're looking to sell them for about $120-ish, right? That's going to be a very basic understanding, a very basic estimate in terms of what we can actually sell it for. And so just at a very, very basic level, all we're doing right now is simply comparing the price, right? We're not necessarily getting too caught up into the historics of a product or what we can, or how much we can buy or all those sorts of things. All we're going to do, and as we start to kind of sift through these, we're just looking for something that's heavily discounted, right? And then we're also just going to map it back to Amazon. SellerAmp makes it pretty easy. If you don't have SellerAmp, it's going to be more of a manual process. But all we need to do is find our first product, because once we do that, it opens up doors. It opens up other sellers who are selling that same product. It opens up more brands and all those sorts of things, right? Because if you haven't been following my content, there's one main thesis that's going to lead to a lot of success on Amazon. It's the fact that our first product, any particular profitable product, connects us to 10, 15, 5, 20 other sellers that have found that same product. And if they've found that same product, they've likely sourced and done other work and found other profitable products. Now, the chances that out of those 5, 10, 15, 20 other sellers, chances that they have found just one other profitable product from a similar source, a similar product, is extraordinarily high. And the luxury of an Amazon seller is that we have access to all of that information, all of their product data. All right, so if we just find one remotely profitable product, it opens up an entire catalog of all these different products that we now have access to and we can learn from. And so we can use that information to then reverse engineer back and find more products. And so that's the process of finding the first one. I would just go through Walmart, Target, all these sale sections and just start to identify and start to compare prices. You can look into my other videos in terms of really getting to the nitty-gritty of actual keeper data, but that's going to be the foundational skill, is just looking for the delta in price. That's going to be it for today's video now, guys. I know I threw a lot at you. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next one.